I'm pretty fortunate in that I get to review quite a lot of different coffee machines, and this one's quite something. So this is the Seine X Espresso Machine, and it is designed by Maxim at their Pierre Cardin studio in Paris. And there's a whole bunch of tech behind this thing. Apparently there are 29 patents that are used to build this thing up. Quick tour of it. Well, there's a conical burr grinder. So there's a grinder built into this thing. There is a variable pressure flow, which can go between 3 and 15 bar. There's dual 15 bar pumps. And then there's all of the tech stuff. Like there are semi-automatic features like scales to measure the output from the grinder, and then scales to measure the liquid as it flows through, so it knows when to stop extracting coffee. And then this little steam wand here, that's got an infrared sensor in it that can detect how hot the milk is. So let's talk about the components. We've got two screens here. So we've got this screen at the top, which is kind of the main screen for general operation, and then you can see there's a screen here as well. That's just to control the grinder, and I'll show you how that works in a second. On top here we've got a bean hopper, and then this is a bean hopper release toggle. So I put my beans into here, this closes that toggle up so no beans are going to get through, but when we're ready to extract we open that up. There's a grinding adjustment knob. This lever here is a grinding lever. You either set it to automatic and it will use the scale, because there's a scale built into this guy right here, and it will just keep going until it's added enough beans. And apparently there's some kind of anti-static technology in there to make sure that just enough grinds arrive into the portafilter. And then there is this steam wand here. This is either steam or hot water. The group head that's in here is a 58mm group head. It's pretty standard. It's heated as well, which is nice. This is the liquid weighing scale that measures the liquid as it comes out. There's a drip tray built into here as well, which kind of slides out. And then underneath here, there's a water reservoir where I'm storing all of my water as well. This also came with a bunch of accessories. Let me show you those. So not just one, but two portafilters. The difference is the back of this one, this is kind of a standard dual output. This guy here, this one is bottomless. This is my preference to use this guy, that way I can see if I'm extracting correctly. There's a mat as well to tamp down on. The tamp is one of these fancy tamps that's spring loaded as you push it down. There's a leveler as well. Then there's this guy. This is the dosing funnel, and it's actually magnetic. If you look closely at the bottom, you can see these little magnets, like there's one right there. And that means that when you connect this to this, it actually connects magnetically. So I can even turn this upside down, look. That's connected on. So it's not a huge strong magnet, but it's actually pretty handy just to be able to put this on here and know it's going to stay put. There's a bunch of other stuff too. There's actually multiple cups depending on if you're putting single or double shots. There's a distribution tool here as well, so we can make sure that we don't have any clumps. A couple of cleaning brushes. I really like this one because it's the size of the portafilters. You can really get in and scrub with this one, and even a little rag as well. So they really have kind of thought of everything when it comes to the accessories. In terms of the specifications, well, the boiler capacity is 240 milliliters. This bean hopper up here will hold 280 grams of beans. The water tank that's under here holds 1.85 liters. The drip tray holds almost that as well, 1.5 liters. And the whole thing weighs about 16.5 kilos, which, I mean, it's not light, but actually for a machine like this with an integrated grinder and all the tech, I thought was actually quite reasonable. It feels satisfyingly heavy, but you know, it's not too off-putting where you're going to put your back out. Other specs to tell you about in this grinder. The grinder is a conical burr grinder, and there are different grind settings. I'm going to show you this in action in just a second, but you can grind by time, by weight, or just kind of manually by telling it when to start and stop. And there are all of these adjustable grind settings on this thing. So there's 8 different speeds from 300 to 650 RPM, and then of course you can set how fine it should grind as well. And then the dose weight shutdown mode, the way that's supposed to work is it predicts the arrival time of the target powder kind of coming out of the grinder, and then it cuts it off just before it reaches that. And there's some plasma antistatic design in here as well from this ground coffee outlet so that you don't get coffee that sticks too badly to it. Let's put that grinder to the test. So I'm going to put my portafilter in here. This is the scale. And now this is going to weigh out the beans. I have a choice here of either 14 grams or 18 grams. I'm going to do a double shot, so that's 18 grams of beans. And at this point I have these other settings on here as well. So I can pick the RPM, which is currently at 400, and I can pick the grind size, which is currently at 22. I'm going to pull this handle backwards. And that has now dispensed about 18 grams of coffee grounds in here, ground to setting 22, which when I used this a little bit earlier was about the right amount for the coffee beans that I'm using. Let's get the puck ready. Now, as for actually brewing, the extraction boiler with water temperature adjustments range from 88 to 96 Celsius. Has a pretty fast flow rate of up to 10 milliliters per second, and it's got on the fly pressure adjustments, so you can set the amount of bar of pressure that you want: 6, 9, 12 and 15 bar. Now on the screen on top here, this is where you set your brewing mode. So there's the standard mode, so this will brew either a single shot or a double shot in its standard profile. Constant mode lets you set a pressure, so it's currently at 9 bar, so we'd have a constant pressure of 9 bar coming through. Variable mode lets you set up an actual profile, so you can see there's a couple of profiles already built into this showing the amount of pressure that will change over time. So you can build your own variable modes or use one of their own. There's a drip coffee mode that will extract without really using pressure. And there is a manual mode that lets you set all of these variables yourself. There's also a bunch of other settings along the bottom here, including a timer for automatic preheat, all sorts of records of the grinds and the programs that you've run as well. That's all kept on this device. But the thing I've really been excited to try is the smart drip prediction. So in the same way that the grinder is kind of smartly predicting how many grinds are going to continue to fall and when to cut it off, this does the same thing using this liquid scale here. So this is going to know when to cut off the liquid. So if I'm adding 18 grams of coffee in, which I am, I'm probably going to want something like 36 grams coming out the other end. This will tell me when to stop. Put the cup on the weighing scale here. I'm going to select manual mode. I'm going to select that I want a double shot. It goes. And that took 33 seconds to extract 37.9 milliliters of liquid. So got real close to 38. And if that's a little bit long, perhaps I'd like it more like 28 seconds, something like that. All I would need to do for the next cup is just to adjust the grind setting. Instead of 22, maybe try 21. But really, I didn't have to do an awful lot here. I set up my profile for how I wanted it. I used the standard mode, so I just got the default settings for the amount of pressure that was used. And in the end, I've got this espresso, and look, it's got a nice crema on here. Certainly looks the part. Yeah, that's a really reliable cup of coffee. But what about the milk frothing? Yeah, this thing's pretty cool. There's 2 levels of steaming that you get with this. So one that will just kind of steam and one that will add a little bit more air in as well. And there is this IR infrared temperature probe that's built in here, so you can set the milk temperature and then it will kind of cut off once it gets to that point. So these are my steam settings, and I've got target milk temperature turned on to 131 Fahrenheit. And there it is, it cuts off at 131. And that is some good looking milk froth there, ready to go. So I've now got this steamed to the exact temperature I wanted it. It's early days, I've only had this machine for a couple of weeks, but I'm really enjoying it. And this is just the basic settings that I've used so far. There's all of this customization to play around with the pressure profile, see what I get from that. I haven't even touched things like the drip coffee option. That looks kind of fun as well. So if you're really into kind of experimenting with coffee and then getting feedback and results from the machines, and trying to make sure that things are constant so that you can improve on them next time, change one variable or another and so forth until you get what you really want out of a machine. I think this brings you a lot of fun and a lot of ways to measure what you're doing. But also if you're just kind of looking to make some coffee at home and you want something that looks pretty good, well, this looks great. So I've really been enjoying La Seine X Espresso Machine so far. I believe this is going out on Kickstarter. It'll be interesting to see how it does. But so far, I've got to say, I'm pretty impressed with this. Cheers.